Episodes of the Green Corn Rebellion Show are brought to you by Addie's Sugar Shack, located at 6201 Northwest Expressway in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in the parking lot of Ten Gem. Addie's Sugar Shack specializes in unique and delicious shaved ice treats and bonus hot treats on the weekends. Come by Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. through 9 p.m., Saturday from noon to 7 p.m., and Sunday noon through 5 p.m. Get your cold sugar fix today. Hello, this is the Green Corn Rebellion Show, and today I am here with Zoe Midyett, a rural ranch Democratic candidate in Oklahoma's 3rd Congressional District. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you today, Gregory?
I'm doing well. So, how has campaign been going? Has the campaign been going since the last
It's
time
been
we
going
talked?
very well. It's very busy. My staff keeps me on my toes, and folks like you keep me on my toes. We are going to be in the Panhandle this weekend for a day event, and that's going to be great. We'll see how it plays with social distancing. We're going to do an event Friday night, and then Saturday, I think I'm going to be in a parade. I'm supposed to bring hay anyway, so I guess I'm driving the Guyman with 6 bales of hay, which is kind of par for the course. So
That's cool. I don't think I've been out that far out in Oklahoma to the Panhandle before, so that sounds interesting for
it's
sure.
going to be awesome. It's going to be great to go out there. And we've been very welcome. There's a great group of folks that have really worked hard to get us to come out. And we really appreciate the assistance. So that's what it's really exciting. We're looking forward to it. My son's even going to ditch half a day on Friday and come with me.
Cool. That's even fun for him. All right. So, I heard that there was a pipeline that was built in the district that ruined the lands of some uh, landowners, homeowners. Could you talk a little bit about that and what we need to do in order to deal with that?
Well, one thing that's it's the Midland Pipeline, and it's about 120 landowners have been affected, and most of them are people like myself that have had pipelines put through their property. I always joke we have 5 pipeline easements on our land, and if any of them were to leak, I just wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even know it happened because we were just like natural gas and oil just pumping through. Historically, when pipeline companies come out, they are easy to deal with. They do their work, they clean up their mess, they chat, they're open, they're responsive to your needs, and they go on their merry way. This company came out and literally plowed huge swaths for these pipelines, destroyed irrigation equipment, destroyed fences, destroyed septic systems, wells, just literally just plowed right through. Whole pastures were destroyed. Cattle are actually dying because they can't get to their water source. And so the group has gotten together and hired a consultant. And if you go to KOCO, they actually just did another story on this 2 nights ago. And you can find out more. You can actually see some of the damage better. But these folks have sent 30 requests to Frank Lucas and Tom Cole's office and to the federal government with absolute crickets. They have not been, they didn't even want compensation to begin with. They just wanted their land returned to the way it's supposed to be and make it usable again. And a lot of them don't mind the pipeline concept. That's what's ironic about this. They're fine. Bring your pipeline in, then fix the land and go on your merry way. It's okay. So now they've been completely shafted and they've all lost income. There's been over like $10 million in damage so far, just cumulative in terms of crop loss and agriculture loss and equipment loss. So these folks have banded together, and I'm trying to be a voice for them because they contacted me as a candidate when their representative.
Episodes of the Green Corn Rebellion Show are sponsored by Oklahoma Progress Now. Oklahoma Progress Now is a 501c4 organization focused on building progressive power in Oklahoma. Their primary efforts are on developing progressive content for a 21st century audience, coalition, and capacity building across progressive organizations and causes, and working to see elected leaders who are more responsive to their constituents and the needs of the many. Areas of focus include progressive messaging and communications, coalition building and resource sharing, and focused progressive policy goals. You can check out their Twitch live streams, and they go live on Facebook on at noon, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please support this organization. It's a really great organization. It's just getting started here in Oklahoma. Thank you. Now enjoy the rest of the video.
Representative was just not responding. So I'm trying to do what I can in this position and help them in any way I can.
All right. So how are you feeling about the schools reopening?
Well, it's funny you ask. My son goes to a private school. That's the reason I drive a 12-year-old car. The He's been going there since he was a toddler, and they chose to reopen. And I like the way they're doing it. I was tentative, but he really wanted to go back. They did offer online as an option, but they have the advantage of being a very small campus. He has about 100 in his grade, so it's a lot easier to control 100 kids in sophomore year than it is to control 600 in the sophomore year. Some of the kids that work for me at my store, I hire a lot of high school and college kids, and always hope they go on to bigger and better things. But it's a good way to get through the early years of school and stuff with a job that's flexible. So they come in, and a lot of them are doing 2 days a week. I have two young men that actually go to the same school. So one of them works 3 days a week and goes to school Monday, Tuesday, and the other one works Thursday, Friday. So it sounds like their school's doing a good job. So far, I'm hearing lots of good things. It's not a great idea, but I think it's really important for kids to grow up and socialize and have peer interaction. So it's a really tough issue. Then we get to OSU. I've been tweeting about OSU has, oh my gosh, those kids just need to close OSU. It's out of control. They are bar hopping. There's no mask. They're skin on the dance floors. They're having street brawls. Okay, that's not going to work. Stillwater's going to have a spike like nobody's business. And these young men and women, I get it. They're away from home, and a lot of them are young freshmen and sophomores, and it's party on. We've been cooped up all summer with our parents. We've lost our minds. I get it. But 22 girls in a sorority have already tested positive at OSU, and school just started. So I think the schools, it's a tough issue. I think the schools that are doing it right, it's good for the kids. I like the schools that are offering an online option or a school option. And I also know it's tough on parents to get to work if they have to figure out how to homeschool their kids or take care of their kids. So I think the schools that are doing it carefully and doing day by day and day temperature checks and requiring masks and limiting the schedules are doing the best they can with the difficult situation. And then there's schools in Georgia that are suspending kids because they post pictures. So there's all extremes out there. So you ask what I think, it's a yes and no. And that's not a very committal thing, but I guess what I'd really have liked to have seen was more direction from Betsy DeVos on a nationwide standard on how to make this mandate work, rather than make each and every district across the country try to figure it out for themselves in a month. That was really poorly planned. I think that could have been handled much better.
All right. And would you like to talk about your education platform a bit? There's some pretty interesting things in there, like incentives that should be given to teachers, and you also mentioned broadband availability.
Well, two things. You're actually touching on both issues. I really feel like, quick on broadband, I'm very passionate about basic broadband access nationwide. I think broadband is almost important now as electricity and water to be competitive in the modern workplace. You cannot go somewhere even without your cell phone not working and still be in touch. Whether we like it or not, that's kind of where we are as a nation. And to have whole swaths of this country with no connectivity is not acceptable. China can do it, we can too. So taking broadband one step further, if you look at the schools with COVID, it's like a three-part answer, sorry. If you look at the schools with COVID, you can't expect some of these rural schools to function with online schooling if they have no broadband. So it becomes untenable. And then what do you do with these kids? Just tell them to go back out to the field and start working because that's all they can do? So you've got to have a better solution there. Schools, before COVID, before all of this, I had this wonderful, what I thought was wonderful education plan to help defend our teachers and to make sure our teachers, first and foremost, are compensated and taken care of in the way they deserve. These are men and women that go to school for postgraduate work in a lot of cases, And if they'd gone to that much school, they could have been an attorney and made lots of money. But no, they chose to educate our children. And yet, when they walk out of school, they are making nothing. And the states also have the choice on what they pay. So if you're loyal to Oklahoma and want to be a teacher here, you could be making 10, 20,000 less a year than if you went across the Red River to Texas. So I feel like there's one thing the federal government could step in. Education is what they call a state's right, basically. Each state is in charge of their own education system. But the federal government does give a lot of funds. So there is a way that the federal government can mandate teacher salaries, I believe, and there's two ways I'd like to see it. We already have military salaries where when you're a brand new private, you get paid X and you know what you're going to get paid. It'd be nice if teachers knew when they walk out of teaching school, no matter where they taught, they get paid X, that amount. Then make it a perk. If you teach in a tough neighborhood where it can be kind of scary and there's lots of metal detectors and there's some kids that really need help, you give them a perk, you give them a per diem. If you teach in a very remote rural area where there's really not much to do when you're not teaching, you give them a perk or per diem. So those kids have advantages and access to really good educators. And also you have to provide cost of living. So if a teacher's teaching in New York City versus Wellston, Oklahoma, they would have to have a higher per diem just for cost of living. But the basic salaries would be there. And I think it would prevent teachers from flipping states and moving around and stop having to pander to buy school supplies. Let's fill the classrooms with what they need. Let's have modern books in the classrooms and let's pay them a living wage. And I don't think any of these are crazy ideas. I think that is where we should have always been. We shouldn't be, I think, 40th in the world in education. And Oklahoma sure as heck shouldn't be at the bottom in education either. So those are my basic plans. I hate sending people to the website, but there is more information on that on our website, Midyett 2020, if you want to read more or ask questions.
All right. And the post office is under attack by Trump and the Republicans right now. How do you feel about this? And what do you think we should do next year whenever Trump and the GOP are out of power, hopefully?
Okay, well, I broke my own rule tonight right before I got on this call with you or this interview with you. I tweeted to our president and responded to one of his tweets. And I've been trying not to. It's really, I just couldn't take it. And I had to do a lot of deleting. He actually tweeted about an hour ago, save our post office. And I'm like, wow, okay. DeJoy, who he assigned as the postmaster general. The man has no postal experience unless you want to account for his $50 million invested in postal service competitors, private companies that deliver mail instead of the post office. Whereas he destroys the post office, he props up his own financial interests. His wife has also just gotten the pending nominee to be the Canadian ambassador. So our new postmaster general is going to make money if the post office fails, and his wife sounds like she's going to get an ambassadorship out of the deal. Our mailboxes are being ripped out, and our mail sorting machines are being ripped out. And I understand that is happening in states where Clinton won soundly. So those are the areas where those tools and mailboxes are being removed. I do not have a fact to back that up. I was just reading that. I have not fact checked that, so please don't take that as the gospel. The I understand wanting to win an election. I mean, I'm running for Congress. I'd like to win my election. I don't understand wanting to win an election at all costs and the detriment to the United States. I think if you were good for the country, you should have the courage to allow people to vote, and especially during a pandemic, be able to mail in their ballots. And mail in is the same as absentee, Mr. President. It's exactly the same thing. And it's okay to lose fairly. In his defense, this last year has been tough. It would have been tough for any president. I'm not in agreement with how he handled it, but it has been a tough year for our country. It is new turf for the world. I personally detest wearing a mask all day. Do I do it? Yes. Is it the right thing to do? Yes. Is it safe? Yes. Do I like it? No. I cannot stand the thing, and I can't wait to get it off my face most days. But if you're going to be an American and care about this country, The post office is, gosh, it's such an institution. It's more of an institution than the IRS because it's the warm, fuzzy one.
Mhm.
So it's, I feel very passionate about it, and I'm very vocal on this issue. And I'm talking about it and covering it and sharing about it. And like I said, I kind of lost it and tweeted our president. So yes, we need to resolve this. And I love the protesters in front of DeJoy's house. I love that we're going to have a protest in Oklahoma City, I believe, this weekend. And I love that there's all over the country. I think based on Trump's tweet today, that maybe some of this is going to back off. Maybe the public pressure is even too much. I've noticed personally that my mail from Act Blue has been delayed about a week. Those checks are taking longer to get here. That's the only thing that's taking longer. It's kind of interesting. So, hidden plot, I don't know, conspiracy, I doubt it. But you just notice things like that.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Where can we find you on social media, and what's your campaign website?
It's Midyett 2020, and it's Midyett. It's right behind me. 2020. And I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram. And if you just search for Zoe Midyett, you can easily find me at any of those platforms. And any questions, I'm open to any questions, any issues, I like to hear about them. And I do like challenging questions. Bring it on. Republican or Democrat, I really, really want to represent everyone in the district. I don't care who you voted for in the last election. I don't care how you're registered. It's about time we actually represent the people again, not just big companies. So that's what I'm standing on.
All right. Good luck to you on the campaign trail.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you having me on again.
You're welcome.
You have a good night.
You too.